Hello, Mr. Entrepreneurs. Welcome to day 18 of the Wisdom series. We're going to jump right into it. In verse 1 of Proverbs 18, it says, "Unfriendly people care only about themselves. They lash out at common sense." Now, I know I've had this experience, and I'm sure Sarah has, of those unfriendly people. Those people that they're nice, nasty. There's an attempt to be nice, but they're nasty people, and they only care about themselves. So when you have a common sense thought, when you have something that makes sense, something that you're going with, a lot of times it's not. It could make sense, and it could not make sense, and they still would have. I mean, it could. Whoa, getting mixed up with myself. It makes sense, and it wouldn't matter because they only care about hearing themselves. They only care about themselves. So I like how Solomon points this out, and I tell you, just go for it. If it makes sense, and if it's something that you're going to do, you just navigate those people by going forward and not allowing them access. In verse 2, it says, "Fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions." And wow, it just slides into it. What we're just talking about is they have no understanding, and they just want to air their own opinions. Sometimes people just want to hear themselves talk. And they would prefer if it was their idea. And if they were the ones using common sense, then you don't have access to it.
That's right.
And, it's very rude and selfish. But there are those people.
I'm sure. I think something that stood out to me from what you were saying, too, from verses 1 and 2 was just the difference between, like, objective truth and subjective truth, and how more and more we're seeing, like, in culture, just in the world around us, that it's like people owning their own truth, like people owning what is good to them or what's right to them, and at the same time easily discounting what are universal truth principles. And I think it goes along to what you're saying about people being lovers of themselves. Like, that's promised that in the last days it's going to happen. I believe we're in the last days. And when people only love themselves, then that's where self-preservation comes in, because you have to take care. You're inclined to think about yourself. You're inclined to make sure that you're okay. You're inclined to just look out. Let your life be your life, and don't worry about anyone else. Not all people who believe that are rude, but it ends up coming through, how they believe, and therefore how they act. So I think it's important to, like, just have that understanding of the fact that just because someone has their truth, what's common sense to them, it doesn't make it right. And for us, if there are things that are common sense to us, but they're off, that's why we stay in the scriptures.
That's true.
Yeah, we stay reading, because there's stuff that we need the word to rightly divide, So just that, when you were saying that, that's stuck out to me.
Yep, verse 6, fools' words get them into constant quarrels. They are asking for a beating. I love how Solomon's just like, fools' words get them in constant quarrels. They're asking for a beating. So avoid those arguments. Avoid what was said. There's no need for the quarreling. And because inadvertently, even if it's not that big of a deal, a lot of times it's foolish to get in vain arguments, and depending on what it is, it's very likely that you're asking for a beating. But how Solomon references says
real.
the mouth of fools in verse 7. The mouths of the fools are their ruin. They trap themselves with their lips. In the midst, don't allow yourself to be trapped in your words. Don't be like the mouth of fools. A lot of times we say things and really they seem like they might be correct, but they're really just trapping ourselves and creates ruin for us. Instead of just sometimes avoiding saying nothing or saying things that will bring things back to an even
good.
temperature.
Yeah, that's good. Verse 9, a lazy person is as bad as someone who destroys things. And something that stood out to me, shucks. Hosea 4:6. I think my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And I think that word destroyed means my people handle themselves carelessly and recklessly. And it's, when you think of someone who's careless or reckless, they're more prone to destroy things because they're not paying attention, or they're very disruptive. And I think with this aspect of being a lazy person, being lazy, we don't know what we're destroying. Like whether it's something that we should be building or should be a part of, and we're not taking what we should be doing, and we're just hanging out, being lazy. But we have no idea that aspect. We end up handling things carelessly and recklessly because we're not engaging it correctly. And I feel like having an understanding helps to make sure that we engage things correctly. And it doesn't mean that we're always going to know the impact of what we're doing or the impact of what we're going to do. But the Bible doesn't have a lot of good things to say about a lazy person.
No.
So if it's there's a difference between like waiting on the Lord, being still for instruction, and just like a refusal to do things. So we're not going to be in that category. We're not going to be considered lazy. Not going to destroy things.
Verse 24 says, there are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother.
Come
I encourage you that I think it references it well when it says, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. Encourage you to continue being that real friend. We all know those friends that look to destroy one another, and really you're not a friend. But sometimes if we're not careful, we do it without knowing it. So be wise and be careful with how you go about dealing in your relationships, that you're constantly building up.
That's good.
And you're not destroying what's there. Be that friend that's closer to the brother.
Come on.
That's it, guys. We love you. I'm sorry, did you have anything else?
No, sure. Thanks for asking.
Anything you want, just comment down at the bottom. We want to hear from you. We love you guys. See you in the next one.